Today I wanted to check out a video by Rasu. Hopefully I'm saying his name correctly, but basically he's going through kind of an idea of income pull drought and what people can expect as the Wuthering Waves gets into 1.1. There's a little part here that's technically leaks that I won't talk about, but I thought it'd be an interesting topic and I wanted to kind of see what their point of view was. So let's go ahead and just kind of let them do their thing and we'll kind of talk about it. Make sure to check out the original video in the link in the description below. Check out the channel if you guys want to check out what he's got going on. It seems like a pretty cool guy. It's the first video I've ever watched.
That gained about 6.3 thousand upvotes in r/Wuthering Waves, talking about an incoming pull drought. The OP states that after the initial influx of asteroid and pulls via exploration and compensations, the game doesn't have much ways of getting pulls outside of swiping your credit card.
I think that's pretty much like the way that these games go though. So I've been around for a lot of launches for gacha, and it is very typical to have like a boost in asteroid. Well, whatever premium currency that game has that you're playing, the premium pulls. Of course, Kira gave us a little bit more than the expectation because you got like the free 5-star selector, and then you got like the 5-star selector pity banner, and then you got like the original discount banner. So you had a lot of different ways to get 5 stars in this game, particularly, plus getting all the newbie rewards and milestones and different things for exploration. And I feel like it always ends up happening where a lot of people have, maybe this is the first gacha game they play, and they start to kind of cry out on like, oh, being a free-to-play player, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to get more asteroid? What am I supposed to kind of do as we taper off into 1.1 and they have another influx of like currencies and stuff like that? We'll kind of have to see what the currencies are for each patch to give like a good idea of what kind of the representation of income currency is. But we'll have to kind of talk about that because, he kind of outlines some things that are, kind of leaks. So I'm not going to personally talk about that because I don't really go into leaks, just personal preference. And I don't want to be blacklisted for whatever, so yeah, but I think this is very typical of these gacha games. And a lot of people just get kind of, this massive wall all of a sudden. They're like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? Well, if you are free to play and have played free to play in a lot of different games, this is very typical. And a lot of people are very strategical on the way that they actually hold their currencies. And they've been doing this for a long time. So it doesn't really affect them too much because they know kind of when to hold and when to play them, right? It's kind of like a little, game of poker or something like that. So obviously a lot of these games usually have foresight where, CN will come out like 3 to 6 months early. So then you can kind of get a good idea of what characters to pull for and go through there. If you're an, indulger of leaks, you probably already have that good idea of what's happening in 1.1. So you'll kind of get a good idea of who you're going to pull. But I think this is very typical. So I'm kind of curious to see what the Reddit post is talking about in terms of like kind of their complaint, not necessarily saying it's like a negative complaint. Maybe they're kind of new to the gacha space, but let's go ahead and let them talk.
Here are their criticisms. So the Tower of Adversity resets every 3 weeks,
right?
And gives a total of 700 asteroid.
It's pretty low.
And that's
to be
only
honest.
if you manage to full clear, which is months away from most.
Yeah, and it does take a long time because you're gonna have to have a lot of teams to get it all done.
Unrewarding. The current event, Alloy Smelt, gives a grand total of 460 asteroid over 3 weeks, which is 3 pulls over 3 weeks. Which is
I would say the alloy, I can't say alloy, I guess. Smelt is like kind of a mini event. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a massive event. It's kind of hard to say because it is kind of like the back end of a version kind of event. So I kind of see it as a mini event, but 460 asteroid with 3 weeks is kind of nuts. Like that is not very good. 3 pulls is not going to get you very far. So I really want to see this amped up quite a bit into 1.1, whatever the massive like kind of event they're going to be doing for the new version. I say new version. I don't really know what to call it. Is 1.1 a new version or is 2.1 a new version? I don't know. But into the next like patch, basically, they're going to have to kind of prove that they can give us a little bit better event because in my mind, this one's more of like a back end mini event. Just, the way that I take it.
Their next criticism is that the free pull shop does not reset monthly, but resets every patch. This is a valid criticism too, which I'll get into.
I can't stand that it does that way because I don't know the math of it, but I imagine you're missing out on days, and it just ends up being kind of one of those things where I can kind of get why they kind of typically do this for patches, because if you go in there and you kind of work for the free pulls and you end up spending, a little bit to obviously pull in the characters, you're more likely to start kind of spending your asteroid and maybe even swipe your card because you started it. It's trying to get you to like start doing it to kind of like get the pressure going that you should pull for the new character. So obviously it tries to pull out every single new patch, but I do think you're going to end up missing days because instead of like the average 30-day turnaround, it's like what, 34, 36. So obviously, maybe he'll go into the conversions because I don't know, I'm not a mathematician, but it ends up losing quite a bit of days. So I've never really understood this one because it's like a free shop. It's basically a way for you to kind of keep pulling as a free to play and get different things, like even the weapon stuff's in there and the premium stuff. And I wouldn't really use it too much for the standard. Well, you might as well actually. You can use it for the standard stuff because it's limited, and you get quite a bit of those free pull like currencies and stuff like that. So you can get some different standard banner pulls if you're still working on a 5-star weapon, or maybe you're trying to get some dupes in the 5-star standard banner. Kind of a passive way to do that. Well, let's see if he kind of breaks
and
it
their
down.
final criticism is that you have no way of getting standard banner pulls other than the battle pass.
There are a couple of different ways outside of the battle pass. So you can actually buy them, like I just said, from the free pulls shop, and you can also buy them from the premium coral shop, which I don't recommend doing, obviously, because you want to save that for your weapons and your premium summons. But you can technically do it that way. You also have different ways of getting it for like login events. I'm guessing that 1.1 will probably have one. You can also probably get them from different like end game events that they're probably going to have during 1.1. So obviously battle pass is more of a passive way to do this. And honestly, this might be a hot take, but eventually these standard banners, at least on all the games that I've ever played, a standard banner becomes more of just like a passive thing that you pull on every once in a while when you get the accumulation of different like currencies, right? Like currencies you're not going to be spending anywhere else, like your illustrious tide, right? So you just get a little bulk of like 20, 30, you're like, you know what, I'll just do a couple pulls on a 5-star weapon. You know, great, boom, bang. Maybe I'll try to do a standard banner pull on, you know, so-and-so I can try to get a dupe. But typically you're not really worried too much about it because always you're going to be spending your Astrite and your premium stuff on the premium currencies because they have rate ups and they have the better, newer character, right? So eventually the standard banner becomes kind of obsolete, at least in terms of like being heavily trying to invest in it and trying to like, you know, work towards rewards for it. So obviously if you're getting it in passing, it'll be kind of hard to say exactly how much you get. Obviously maybe he'll kind of talk about exactly what you get in each patch, but yeah, if you're able to get like, you know, 10, 15 or whatever, I think that's kind of a good start for it. Maybe they'll kind of boost it a little bit, but honestly it becomes more of like in passing that you do it. That's just my personal opinion. Let me know in the comments though, guys that are pretty heavily free to play, does it actually help you to have like, you know, standard banner pulls? Of course having any pulls just for free or whatever is always going to be beneficial, but I don't know how important it is basically.
So let's
as a
cover
light
all these
spender
points and go over them real quick. Now, some of these criticisms are valid. 460 Astrite from an event is very depressing, but Kuro Games did say that they've heard these complaints and are looking to increase rewards in their upcoming events.
Okay, so yeah, so they're already kind of addressed the fact that they have low income for these events, and I'm guessing 1.1 is going to be like kind of the first one that they talk about. I actually remember in their little dev thing, now that I think about it, when they were pushing up 1.1, they were going to talk about rewards too. So it'd be kind of interesting to see what they do in terms of that. It'd be kind of nice with a little double of it, you know?
Being reset every patch instead of every month is actually a pretty big deal because we get a new patch every 6 weeks. This means that the shop refreshes 8 times throughout the year rather than 12 if it were to reset monthly. In the monthly shop, you can get a total of 18 pulls, 6 limited banner pulls, 6 limited weapon banner pulls, and 6 standard banner pulls.
Right.
This means that by making it so the shop resets every patch rather than every month, players are missing out on a minimum of 54 pulls throughout the year.
54 pulls. Oh my god, dude. Okay, I was gonna say, I thought it was like, obviously you're missing out on some days just by basic math, but if you break it down, you're missing out on like 50, what did he say, 54, 58 pulls? That's nuts, bro. That's almost like a pity. Damn, dude. That's damn near, let's like going into soft pity territory, because what does that start at, like 60, 70? Okay, that's kind of rough, dude. They need to adjust that, because I don't know, bro. I'm not missing out on all those just because they want to.
The final point of getting no standard pulls other than the battle pass is untrue.
Yeah.
You can get them from login events and the Coral Shop, to mention a few. The login events give 5 standard pulls, the Coral Shop gives you 6, and the battle pass gives you another 5.
Okay, yeah, so he made the same point I did.
Every patch. Now,
16?
Is that
okay.
Good enough? In my opinion, 16 standard pulls every 6 weeks is pretty disappointing, I won't lie. But it is just the standard banner, so I don't really care that much about it, to be honest. Like, I do not want any character from the standard banner. I would rather.
Well, the thing is, so typically maybe it'd be a little bit more important, but the way that Kiro kind of handled the launch is a lot of you guys probably already got the 3 5-stars that you probably wanted. And if you are working on the standard banner pull, it's either for like maybe you missed an encore of Arena, or maybe you want a dupe of like Calcaro or something like that. So I feel like a lot of people at this point are probably pretty happy with the 5 stars that they were able to get, especially going into Yinlin. A lot of you guys probably either pity GN or you got Yinlin. So a lot of your teams are becoming more complete. Now, obviously we're going to need a couple more teams for some of the in-game stuff, but I do think that, like I said, it's going to be a little bit more like less important basically for the standard banner, just kind of the way that it was already structured. It kind of made that a little bit quicker of a process because a lot of people are just going to be gearing up for like the next character, Jinshi and Chengli and stuff like that. So I think it's just going to be kind of an interesting thing to kind of see how it works. But 16 is not that bad. I don't think 16 is that bad in passive because I mean, like, that means you pretty much like get 30 every other patch. So you get 30 of them, go on there. You can basically almost pity, you know, half pity a 5-star weapon, I guess at that point for the standard banner.
So do I really care that much? Not really. 16, I'll take it, you know, like I won't really complain about it. I'll take 16. With all that being said, let's talk about the next patch and the expected amount of pulls that
okay, so this is the part where he goes into leaks, so I'm not going to engage in all that, you know, no hate to bro here. I just got to tiptoe because I want to work with Kiro in the future, you know what I mean? So he does do a breakdown of like kind of what you can expect. Of course, those are all numbers that are probably subject to change, so it's kind of hard to say. But I just wanted to talk. I think he kind of moves on to his next point here, which is kind of what I wanted to keep talking about.
As a free-to-play is honestly not that bad. As a free-to-play player, you cannot expect to get every single character that comes out. Otherwise, there's
and like I was saying at the beginning of the video, I feel like a lot of people who are seasoned to gacha games do understand that. They do get a good idea of like, you're not going to be able to get every character. You're really going to have to hone in on exactly who you're trying to kind of like snipe in terms of like trying to get. Now, of course, it's going to be kind of hard to do because you don't have that gap. And if you're not willing to look at leaks, then obviously you're going to have to kind of wait until the tutorial comes out. And so that means you're going to have to kind of save a little bit more aggressively than you probably would have in the initial first place. Because if you end up getting to a character you don't like, then, you could have, got the character before that. And then you're kind of forced to save for the next character because you don't like the current patch character. So we'll have to kind of see exactly how that plays out though.
Money and the game would die. I think if you are able to reach at least pity at least once on the limited character banner every patch, that's more than enough for me. Because then you can...
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like if you're able to even get to the 80 pity, of course, if you lost your 50-50, that'd be kind of bad. But of course, that means if you save like every other patch, you can guarantee a character. So you'd be able to get whatever character you want guaranteed every other patch. And then if you did every third patch, you could technically get the character and their weapon if you went to pity for all of it. So you went to your pity, lost the 50-50, went to pity again on the character, and then went to pity on the 80 for the weapon, because good God, the weapon is not 50-50. And that is so great because it makes it a little bit more of an incentive to do it. Plus you have your premium corals and your free-to-play corals that you'd be able to jump in there to do for the weapon, which would make it a little bit more, likely for you to be able to do it, because it would be kind of hard, right? Because it's going to be kind of hard to juggle having a rate-up character while also having a weapon banner to be able to jump on. But it does help out to the fact that the 80 pity is like the 100% for the weapon, so it does make it a little bit more enticing if you're willing to spend the currency. So if you were able to get like pity basically on each character for like every patch, you would end up losing some 50-50s, but you could end up winning a couple of 50-50s or get extremely lucky and maybe win like 2 or 10 or 20 and then be able to pull on a weapon or something like that. So there's a little bit of luck obviously involved, but it is a gacha game. We're all gambling here. So if you are free to play, that's kind of a cross you bear, basically a sacrifice you make.
Skip one character and go for the one that comes out next patch, and you'll get them guaranteed pretty much. If
yeah,
all patches come
saying.
with the same amount of income, you're able to hit hard pity on each patch. You can skip the current patch, farm all the astrite, farm all the summons, farm all the pulls on that one patch. Wait until the next patch, farm all the pulls from that patch, and you'll have a guaranteed limited 5-star. Even if you don't hit them on the first pity, you'll get them on the next one, and you'll have enough for that. So I think that's good. So that's about it for today's video. I just wanted to go over.
I don't know if he kind of confirmed that though, like with his leaks or whatever, or if he was just saying that's like something he would prefer. I do think like as a preference, it would be kind of nice to be able to pity, especially because I'm kind of a light spender, so I do the monthly thing. That's about it. But obviously, I will still have to kind of grind quite a bit for Astrite and hope that I get quite lucky, because the $5 thing isn't really too much. I think it's like 90 Astrite a day, which does end up like leading up to quite a bit. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to be too much. So let's listen to his closing thoughts here.
Let me know what you guys think. If this is enough for you, if you want more, obviously people want more.
Yeah, everybody wants more, bro.
Who doesn't want more pulls, right? And with the new characters coming out, I mean, I don't want to talk about leaks, but those characters look so good.
Do we tell bro? We tell bro he crossed that bridge when he did the stuff in the middle. data mining is leaks. Bro, if you don't want to engage in leaks, no hate, bro. No hate. I'm trying to inform you that is leaks though in this middle part. Looking at a new character's kit and looking at what you're gonna get for the next event is technically leaks.
Like, I want both. I want both. And I already bought the Lunite subscription.
But check out the dude. He sounds cool. He has a pretty decent take here, and I think a lot of our views kind of align. Obviously, a lot of you guys going into it as seasoned veterans for free-to-play stuff obviously know a lot of this stuff. But I think it's an important video because a lot of people have jumped into Wuthering Waves and like, what the hell's going on? What am I supposed to do with my Astrite? How am I supposed to get any more because I blew it on GN or some shit? Or when Yinlin came out, they couldn't help themselves. So they're like, shit, I gotta go. So I think it's an interesting video. I think it's very fair. Obviously, some of the different takes in the currency. It sounds like Hero's going to be working on some different things for events, but it also sounds like it's just kind of part of the process for the gacha games to kind of have a slowdown. Launch is going to be some of the best ways to get some of the currencies very quickly. And from then on, you're going to be a little tapeworm hoping to get whatever you can get, being fed by the bellies of Kiro, and just kind of siphon in whatever else they can give you, bro. I do imagine that they'll probably I think they actually are giving a 10 premium pull for 1.1. I guess I'd have to kind of remember that or not, but I'm pretty sure that they are doing that. So maybe that'll be kind of a thing that they do every patch. That'd be kind of dope because some games do that. Arknights does it for their anniversaries, which is pretty nice. They'll give you like a free 10 pull and then they give you a daily pull. That's pretty cool. So you can get pretty lucky there, but of course it's, you know, up to the gods if you get lucky. But yeah, I think Heroes in a good headspace. They obviously got a lot of feedback that they can take and do some different things.